So we need to save this pump assembly as a part file. Why save the assembly as a part? 3 good reasons. It simplifies the assembly, making it easier to use in large complex assemblies. It makes it a smaller, manageable single file, which you could then email to another person so they could test it in their project. Or you could use it to protect your intellectual property because you're not giving them the entire assembly file. Now let's go back to our frame assembly. So we want to only save out the subassembly as a part. So first of all, I open it, and then I had to prep it by adding on these 2 surface features to cap the inlet and outlet ports, because I wanted some of the internal features to not be included in the export of this part. So now you can go to File, Save As, and then choose Part as the file type. And then you have the option to save as exterior faces only, exterior components only, or all components. The all components does not include hidden or suppressed items in your assembly. Also, one very last important option here is to preserve geometry references. This is required if you want to be able to easily replace an existing assembly with this saved part file. First, let's look at the file sizes. We see that the pump assembly takes about 2.1 megabytes, whereas in each of the cases for saving the assembly as a part, each one of the cases ends up to be about 1 meg or less. Now let's examine the 3 output types. Faces only shows only the external faces. Any internal features have been removed, whereas all components, everything including these O-rings, we notice are also included, whereas external components only, the O-rings are now missing because they're not visible from the external housing of the assembly. Another thing to note, on the main assembly, we have mass properties, where it is 2.82 pounds roughly, whereas the output option is 0.84 pounds. So it's important to verify and enter and override any mass properties, centers of masses, or moments of inertia from the original assembly. One last very important thing to realize, once you've saved your assembly as a part, its references have been broken from the original assembly. So if I change my pump here, I'll change this lug and make it smaller. Look at my original assembly. I see they're smaller, but my referencing part has not updated anymore. It is now completely disassociated from my original assembly, and that's very important to realize. Now we have our part saved, we can replace this pump assembly with our part by using the replace components. I'm going to select the preserve geometry references, and we see that all my mates have now correctly reassociated, and there's no further work to be done, and now the part is replacing my current assembly. If I did use the existing part that did not have references, you would end up with a bunch of mates that were not associated, and you would have to reassociate them and take the time to do this extra work, which is very costly and time consuming. To wrap things up, saving an assembly as a part file makes them easier to manage in large assemblies. It reduces the file size and rebuild times when opening up an assembly. Choose Preserve Geometry References if you plan on replacing existing assemblies with the saved part. Always remember to check your mass properties after you've saved the part to make sure it matches the original assembly and that the parts are disassociated from the original assembly and will not update anymore.